This story is called Too Much Nose. It's an Italian folktale that was adapted by Harve Zemach. His wife, Margot Zemach, did the illustrations. They did lots of children's books together. They also have a daughter, Kathy Zemach, who is still doing children's books today. Once there was a poor old father who was both very poor and very old. He had 3 sons, and one day he called them to his side and said, "Sons, it is time for you to leave here and make your way in the world. But before you go, I have some things to give you, some things of very great value." The 3 lads were surprised to hear this. "What things, father?" they asked, "and where are they?" So the old man told them to pull the wooden chest out from under his bed and take what they found in it. They dragged out the chest and got it open, and what they found was an old broken hat, crushed on top and missing its brim, a ragged coin purse full of holes, and a rusty horn. "Now see what I've given you!" exclaimed the father to his eldest son. The eldest son held up the hat and smiled sadly. "I see, father," he said. "It was once a good hat, but now it is not even fit to sit on the scarecrow's head." "So it seems," said the father. "But this is its value, that if you put it on, you can go wherever you care to go, and do whatever you please to do, and no one will see you as long as you have it on." Then he turned to his second son and said, "Now see what I've given you." The second son shook some dust out of the ragged coin purse. "If I had a coin to carry in it," he said, "it would soon fall out. There are so many holes. But no matter, since I haven't got a coin." "So it seems," said the father, "but I'll tell you the value of that purse. Every time you put your fingers in, you'll find a silver coin there, and after that another, and another, and as many as you wish." Then he said to his third son, "And see what I have given you." "Father, it's a very nice horn," the third son said, "and when I am starving hungry I shall blow tunes on it to make myself forget about eating." "Oh, silly boy, that's not what it is for," said the father. "Its value is this. Whenever you want anything, you need only to sound the horn, and someone will come who will bring you whatever it is you want, whether it be a dinner or a suit of clothes or a palace or an army." Then the old father gave his blessings to his sons, and they went their separate ways. The second son tucked the coin purse under his belt and headed for a nearby town. There, as he was passing below the windows of a palace, a maid-in-waiting looked out and beckoned to him. "Can you play at cards?" she asked him. "As well as most," he replied. "Good, then come up, for the queen wants somebody to play with her." The young man went in, and went up the stairs, and was shown where to sit at a table across from the queen. She gave him a sharp look and began dealing cards. They played for an hour, and the queen kept winning, and each time she won she cried, "The queen wins! 3 silver coins for the queen!" And when the game was over she said, "You unlucky man, you have lost 30 pieces of silver, but never mind, I can see you are too poor to pay." "Oh, I can pay all right," said the second son. He opened his coin purse and reached into it 30 times, and each time brought out a shiny silver coin. The queen was amazed. "How is it possible," she wondered, "that such a poor-looking fellow can find so much silver in that ragged old purse?" "Oh, it is no ordinary purse," he answered proudly, and told her the secret of his father's gift. "I don't believe it. Here, let me see for myself," said the queen, and she snatched the coin purse from the young man's hands. Then, before he could say a word, she called the guards and ordered them to turn the fellow out and give him a good beating. When the guards had done with him, the second son went to find his elder brother. He told his brother about the queen and begged to borrow his hat, promising to return it shortly. As soon as he got it, he put it on and became invisible. Then he went back to the palace. It was the dinner hour, and because of the hat, no one was able to see the second son enter and sit down at the table right next to the queen. He waited until the queen was served her soup, and before she could eat the first spoonful, he lifted the bowl to his own lips and replaced it empty on the table. The queen thought that very strange, and even stranger when the rest of her dinner disappeared the same way, each dish in turn. Finally she cried out, "Who are you, invisible one, and what do you want?" "It is I, who played cards," said the young man, "and I'll give you no peace until you return my coin purse." "I would gladly return it," said the queen, "but how do I know it is you who speaks and not someone else? First you must let me see you, then I'll return your purse." So the young man took off his hat and showed himself to the queen. "Now you see it is I," he said, "and now give me my coin purse." The queen went and got the ragged purse out of a drawer, and on the way to giving it to him she said, "Tell me, young man, how did you do that trick? How did you make yourself invisible?" "Oh," he said, "it is this broken old hat that has the power. As soon as you put it on, no one can see you." "I don't believe it," said the queen. "But it's true," said he. "You just put it on and—" "Impossible," said the queen. "Here, let me see for myself." And she snatched the hat out of his hands and thrust it on her own head. "There, just as I told you," said the young man. "Now you are invisible." "So I am," cried the queen, and she rushed out of the room. Before the young man realized what had happened, she called for the guards and had him thrown out of the palace. The young man picked himself up and stumbled away to find his other brother, and when he found him, he begged to borrow the rusty horn, just for a little while. His brother grumbled about it, but finally agreed, and the second son hurried back to the palace. He took a deep breath and blew the horn as hard as he could. At once, someone appeared, looming up before him, and asked in a mysterious voice, "What is your wish?" "I want an army with cannons to throw down the palace," cried the youth. And instantly there was a sound of soldiers marching and a rumble of artillery wagons. They surrounded the palace, closing in from all directions, and they aimed the cannons. The queen and her company were terrified. "What's this all about?" cried the queen, as soon as she saw the second son standing under her window. "Give me back my purse, and give me back my hat," said he, "or I shall throw down the palace." "Wait," said the queen. "I have them right here. Just come inside, and I'll give them to you straight away." So the young man marched up to collect his things. The queen fluttered about the room, opening and closing cabinets and looking under chairs. "Oh, you gave me such a fright," she said, "that I can't remember where I put them. Are they behind that bench? No? Well, under the table in the corner?" The young man went to look, and while he was looking, the queen said, "How did a poor fellow like you manage to call together such an army?" "Because I've got this horn," said he, "and if you don't hurry up and find my things, I'll have them batter down the palace in a right earnest." "That rusty horn?" said the queen. "You won't make me believe that. Why, I'll bet it can't even make a sound." "Oh, yes, it can," said he. You just hold it this way, and you blow very hard." "Really?" said she. "Let me try." And she grabbed it away from him and sounded it. And instantly someone appeared and said to her, "What is your wish?" "I want 2 stout men," cried the queen, "and I want them to drive that shabby-looking fellow out of the palace and give him a good beating." It was done. And now the second son had nothing left and was ashamed to go back to his brothers. So he wandered away outside the town, and he wandered on and on. The sun set, and he could not see his way along the road, so he stumbled into a vineyard and huddled all night under a fig tree. He woke up early the next morning and found the fig tree covered with ripe, luscious figs, though it was not yet the season for figs. Some good luck at last, he thought, for he was hungry from his wanderings. He plucked some figs and began to eat. Oh, they were so delicious that he hardly noticed a certain tickling feeling in his nose. But suddenly he dropped the whole bunch and jumped to his feet. His nose had grown to a terrible size. Poor fellow! Now he could not even show himself to people, and would have to spend the rest of his days in wandering. He left the vineyard and hurried down the road. Before long he saw some cherry trees, and one was all covered with ripe cherries. He was still hungry, so he plucked some and began to eat. And with every cherry that he ate, his nose got an inch smaller. And by the time he was done, it was back to its regular size. "Ah, ha, ha," he said out loud. "Now I know what to do." First, he filled a bottle with juice squeezed out of the ripe cherries. Then he ran back to the vineyard and collected a basketful of figs. Then he returned to the palace, going around to the back door. "Figs for sale," he cried. "Delicious, ripe figs." The queen's servants bought the whole basketful. They sent word to the queen of their luck in finding figs for sale at this time of year, and the queen said to serve them right up. Everyone in the palace feasted on the figs, and the queen, of course, ate more than anyone else. Well, it happened to them just the way it had happened to the second son when he ate the figs. Their noses grew and grew. Then a terrible hue and cry went up from the palace. They sent out for doctors, and all the doctors from miles around came hurrying to the palace and tried all their medicines one after another, but nothing did any good. Meanwhile, the second son hid outside under a window. He waited until all the doctors had given up and gone, and then, with a beard pasted on his chin and a hat pulled down over his eyes, he called out, "Noses! I can heal noses! Whoever has got too much nose, let him come to me." The queen and her servants rushed to the window. "A foreign doctor!" exclaimed the queen. "Maybe he can help us." They called him inside and pleaded with him to heal their noses. "All right," said he. "I have a special medicine just for healing noses like yours, but it is very strong stuff. It won't hurt common folk, but I'm afraid it may be too strong for the queen." "Oh, nonsense," said the queen. "If it really heals noses, then I must have some. I shall pay you anything you ask." "Oh, yes," said he. "You'll have to pay a lot, because it is the only medicine of its kind in the world. But I do think that it's terribly strong stuff to give to a queen." "Well, then, start by healing the noses of my servants," said the queen. She thought she ought to see if the medicine really worked before she paid anything for it. Then the second son held up the bottle of cherry juice and gave each of the queen's servants just enough to make each nose return to its ordinary size. "There, you see," he said. "Isn't it wonderful medicine? 1 drop, 2 drops, and presto, the nose is healed." The queen looked on. She saw how well the medicine worked, but it made her jealous to hear the foreign doctor boast about it. "Oh, you think yourself very clever," she said, "but you are not the only one who can work wonders. I've got even greater wonders than yours." "Is that possible?" said the pretended doctor. "What could be more wonderful than my medicine for noses?" "Why, I have a hat," said she, "that makes you invisible when you put it on, and a purse that gives you a silver coin every time you reach into it, and a horn which calls forth someone who brings you anything you need." "You are joking," said he. "Such things don't exist." "Yes, they do. I have them right here," said she, showing him the coin purse and hat and the horn. Quick as a wink, the second son flipped the hat onto his head, snatched up the purse and the horn, and vanished from the palace. Then he went and found his brothers, and gave them back the hat and the horn, and he lived comfortably for the rest of his life by means of his magical coin purse. As for the queen, you can be sure she was furious. But nobody could tell what made her more angry, losing the treasures she had taken from the second son, or being left forever with too much nose. The end.